Contingent Valuation Method, Group 5. Jeff's discovery, Contingent Valuation Method, nature. What is CVM? The Contingent Valuation Method is a way to find out how much people value things like clean air or nature by asking how much they pay to protect them or how much they want as a compensation if they were taken away. Moving on to purpose. The purpose of CVM is to measure the economic value of environmental resources that cannot be bought or sold in regular markets. Focus on non-values, especially useful for valuing things like biodiversity, clean air, and natural beauty that people value even if they don't directly use them. Lastly, it supports decision making by helping policymakers make better choices about environmental protection and managing resources by understanding their true value to society. Elicitation methods are crucial for gathering public preference in the contingent valuation method. These include open-ended questions which allow a respondent to freely state their willingness to pay. Next, payment cards, offering a range of monetary values for respondents to choose from. Next, bidding games, where individuals are guided through iterative bids to determine their valuation. Lastly, dichotomous choice formats, where participants answer yes or no to specific payment scenarios. Now, let's talk about the importance of CVM. CVM is essential for environmental decision making. It allows us to value non-market goods like clean air, water, which traditional markets overlook. CVM also supports informed decision making by quantifying public preference and enables the assessment of societal priorities for resource allocation. It is a tool to promote environmental policies by reflecting public support and capturing non-use values such as preserving biodiversity for future generations. Its flexibility and applicability make it a valuable tool across different contexts, and it helps in benefit cost analysis to ensure efficient investment in environmental projects. In summary, CVM bridges the gap between economic and conservation, ensuring we account for the full value of nature. Is the strength and weakness of CVM. Starting off with strength, it captures both use and non-use values such as existent and bequest value. It provides a direct measure of people's preference for environmental goods. It's flexible and applicable to various environmental issues globally. It is useful for valuing resources not traded in markets like biodiversity. It also can inform policymakers and justify funding for conservation projects. Now, what about weakness? Strategic bias can occur if respondents try to influence the survey outcome. It also can result in non-response or outliers affecting data reliability. It also prone to biases like hypothetical bias. It also requires detailed surveys, making it time-consuming and expensive. Responses may lack accuracy due to starting point bias or unclear scenarios.
Moving on to past application. The purpose is this study aims to evaluate visitors' willingness to pay WTP for solid waste management and disposal services, understand the research status and future development, and to identify the key influence factor on an individual WTP values. There is an example of CVM in questionnaire result provided. Next, visitors' willingness to pay for national park entrance fees in China, evidence from a contingent valuation method. The purpose of this study is the document focuses on evaluating visitors' willingness to pay for entrance fees to China's national park, newly planned, which is in Qingling National Park. Furthermore, there is a past application on economic valuation of Borneo orangutans in Kemaman Zoo and Recreation Park in Terengganu, Malaysia. The study aims to find out how much visitors are willing to pay to help conserve Borneo orangutan at Kemaman Zoo. It seeks to support increased entrance fees for conservation efforts. Moreover, there is a past application about public awareness and willingness to pay for forest conservation in Malaysia. The manuscript examines public awareness and willingness to pay for forest conservation in Malaysia. It highlights that the public recognizes the negative impact of agricultural expansion on forests and support conservation effort. The application number 5 is about local communities' willingness to pay for conservation of ecotourism resources at Gelam Forest, Kelantan, Malaysia. The study aimed to assess local communities' willingness to pay for conserving Gelam Forest as an ecotourism destination. It focused on the economic and social factor affecting WTP and the potential benefit of ecotourism for the community. Next past application is about improvement of urban environment and preservation of cultural heritage through experimental economics by modified contingent valuation method. This research aimed to develop a methodological framework for preservation of cultural heritage through CVM. This framework is used to assess public willingness to pay for restoration and preservation of monuments using the colonial walls in Pyrrhus, Greece. This is to identify the value that local communities place on cultural heritage. Additionally, contingent valuation of a Malaysian highland forest non-market benefits accrued to local residents. The study aimed to assess the non-market benefits that local residents derive from the Malaysian highland forest. It sought to quantify these benefits using the contingent valuation method, which helps in understanding the value of environmental resources that are not traded in market. The CVM questionnaire is about demographic information, usage of forests, perceived benefits, willingness to pay, and awareness and attitudes. Past application number 8 is about meta-analysis of consumer willingness to pay for sustainable food products. The main goal of this study is to synthesize existing studies on consumers' willingness to pay for sustainable food products. It is also to measure and compare the average WTP for sustainable food products worldwide, while also examining the heterogeneity of willingness across the different demographic and sustainable attributes. The past application number 9 is about social acceptability of flood management strategy under climate change using contingent valuation method. The study aimed to assess the social acceptability of flood management strategies in the context of climate change using the contingent valuation method. It focuses on local communities' perception on WTP and attitude toward climate change and flood risk management. Lastly, the past application is about measuring the economic value of green roofing in South Korea, a contingent valuation approach. And the purpose is to understand the perception and willingness to pay for flood management adaptive measure among respondents in different zones. This study aims to assess the impact of climate change flood risk and gather data on socio-economic characteristics, attitudes and perception related flood management. The example of CVM questionnaire is provided below. Respondents are asked about their perception of temperature changes, extreme rainfall and awareness of climate change impact.